Appreciate Pete getting a chance to have opening remarks, and just glad to be here. I'm Marlon Foster with Knowledge Quest, parent organization of Greenleaf Learning Farm, on the board of Agri Center. Jay pulls us together around Ag Lunch and new and beginning farmers and really black farmers that are connected in the Memphis area that you've seen gathering around here. All of us kind of hang out together. But Pete asked me, just posed a couple of questions. One was about why, Knowledge Quest, nonprofit, youth development primarily, would get involved in agriculture. We did our first community garden back in 1999. 2010, we made it a formal program. And today we took 30 formerly vacant blighted lots and 4 buildings and repurposed to one of our only USDA certified organic operations in the Memphis area. But we got into that work because a couple of reasons. Agriculture gave us a few bottom lines. Number one, when it comes to education and agri-STEM, we got that. When it came to this, really, Shelby County has 30,000 vacant and blighted lots, commercial and residential, about 4,000 on the land bank. So it gave us some community development opportunities through agriculture. But then we're also, and I'm just talking, I see ranked number one in all the wrong areas almost, but it was also one of the most distinct food deserts that's considered a half a mile to a mile from a grocery store. We were 3 miles from the closest full service grocer. So agriculture gave us all of these connections, and this whole idea of us being a part of the regenerative movement. I got our share of tree huggers on our team, and that's a part of it. But it's so much more. It's about, as you go through iterations in agriculture, I personally went from education from kids to good health and nutrition. As a pastor, I hit a whole movement just around land, and that was around the time that we went organic, of just all the biblical connotations of land and the value of land and the connection to land and people. But those practices also yield us what most folks care about in farming, the bottom line. We went from 12 minutes on our irrigation down to 7 minutes over a couple of years. We've had, we took 2 acorn squash plants. It was supposed to give us about 15, per. We got 5 times as much. We did a small plot of tomatoes, and we didn't have irrigation set up on that side. We watered them in. It's been 3 months, no water. And we're heirloom tomatoes, beautiful, that we discount at $5 a pound. So these are things. So even if you care about that part, it's just the value of today and what's happening and smart practice around, just inputs and waters that we've found in our whole conservation and cost saving measures. But all of that, I think when we start somewhere, and for us it's composting, is our primary form of how we've really begun to see a lot of benefits from it. But the most interesting question Pete posed was this whole redemption value of agriculture. And I'll pause there. John mentioned being 5-generation farmer. If all of us around here go back 5 generations, all of us are going to be farmers. And we hit that with some serious issues in the urban context, in my neighborhood, predominantly African-American context, where, that legacy for some, we stop at slavery. So we just approach that thing different to say, no, we have a legacy that's 10, 15 generations deep in agriculture. And we talk about all of those connections pre-slavery to agriculture to really redeem that value and dignity back around agriculture. But beyond just black folks and that legacy in the United States, I think for all of us that are here, I close with a quick little story. Some of y'all may know our first farmer, Mr. Walter Gates. He and our second farmer, both of those guys together had 100 years of agriculture experience. And there's another guy in Memphis, some of y'all may know, his name is Harold Bird, and a banker in town. Guy does a lot of good work around town. So we're trying to get the dormitory funded. Somebody introduced me to Harold. He comes to the farm. Lo and behold, Harold Bird and Walter Gates both grew up in sharecropping right next door to each other, families on the same farm. These guys get to talking, and if you know Walter, he's kind of, a tall, kind of resolute, really means what he says. He's real slow, gets his thoughts out. And you got Harold there. That's more, if you know Harold, he's in the pinstripe blue suit, real sharp as he always is. Walter's there with overalls, and they get to making this connection. And Walter looks back at him. He said, "Yeah, but I think your side fared out a little better than mine did in the end." But those guys ended up having a great laugh. Walter's brother actually ultimately bought out Harold's family's plot, and their family still lives there now. Walter and his brothers, Harold and his brothers, those guys get together, go back to those plots, have a few beers around the fire pit, and hang out. So this redemptive power of all of us being connected, it all goes back to this, the humans of this earth. And this is what the bounty and the redemptive power of agriculture. Those two guys started in agriculture. Agriculture brought them back together in the end. And I think that's the redemptive power of all of us being here together this morning, together around this cause. Thanks for your time.